Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Canvas Training for Students webinar. My name is Jenny McGee, and I am the Senior Instructional Designer in the e-learning division here at Camden County College. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk about how you will access your courses in Canvas, how you will access your course materials if you are participating in a first day class. We'll look at how to access and use Canvas. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start off, I just want to introduce the e-learning team here at CCC. So this is all of us. We are located on the third floor of the library, and you will see our email address over there on the left-hand side. All four of us check this email regularly, and this is the fastest way to get a hold of one of us. So elearning@camdencc.edu, and you'll see we have Dr. Chad, who's our associate dean, Rose DiNardo is our assistant dean, me, and right there in the third one is me, Jenny McGee, and then Rich Cummings is our instructional designer. So we are all here to help you with any questions or issues that you might have with accessing Canvas, with using Canvas, and also with your first day course materials. We're happy to help as much as we can. If it's not something that we can handle, we can at least point you in the right direction. All right, so all of you should have been able to get logged in to the MyCCC portal. One quick thing I do want to point out that a lot of people don't know because it's a little bit hidden is how you can choose your authentication methods. So as you should already know, when you get logged into the portal, you select where you want your code to be sent. And by default, you will see your email address in there, usually your personal email address and also your CCC email address, and you can choose where you want to get that code sent. I like to get my code sent as a text message to my cell phone. And I just want to show you, if you want to set that up, where you can do that. So when you log into the MyCCC portal, you will see your initials in the upper right corner. And when you click on that, you will see where it says My Account underneath it. Now, for some reason, it often takes about a minute for this to show up after you log in. I do not know why, so don't be surprised if when you first log in, if you click on your initials, you don't see My Account at the top. Give it a minute, refresh your screen, and it should show up. So when you click My Account, you're going to see this, your account recovery settings, and your email recovery tab at the top is already going to be filled in with your primary email address, which will be your student email address, your personal email address. Most likely, you can always update this and change it if you want that code to go somewhere else or to a different personal email account. But you can also click phone recovery up here, and it's going to ask you for a primary phone number. This will need to be a mobile device where you can receive texts, and you can put in a phone number. It will send you a code to authenticate it and confirm that that is the accurate number. So you'll need to do that first. And then if you choose, you can have your codes sent to you via text. You could also, if you'd like, use Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, and I think Twilio Authenticator. Those are apps that you can download that will generate a code for you. So just like to let everyone know about these other options because they are hidden a little bit and you probably wouldn't know they were there. But I do think the texts seem to come in a little bit faster, and you don't have to have your email address or email account open on another screen in order to get into your portal. All right, so we're going to spend most of our time today in Canvas. And so once you are logged into the MyCCC portal, you should be able to click on your Canvas account, which looks like this, and you will click on that, and then you will be taken into Canvas. If you do have any issues, if you're not able to get into your portal, or if you're not able to get into your student email account, contact the help desk. You can, of course, get this contact information on the ccc.edu webpage, but you can call either of these numbers, and here are their email addresses as well. So contact them and they'll be able to reset a password for you if you've gotten locked out of your email account. by logging in, putting the wrong password in too many times, they can assist you with all of those things. All right, let's start off just by talking briefly about the browsers and systems that work best with Canvas. Canvas will work with most browsers. Chrome is the one that is recommended by the people at Instructure who own and run Canvas. And Chrome is what we use here in the e-learning division. But if you really prefer Firefox or Edge, those will also work very well. Just try to make sure that you keep your browsers updated. And if you notice that you're having any issues, that something doesn't seem to be loading correctly, it's always a good idea just to make sure that you are running the most recent or at least the previous release of the browser. A word of caution, if you are a Mac user, please, please, please stay away from using Safari when you are using Canvas. It will work 99% of the time, but at some point, something will happen where you are missing a submit button for an assignment or you're not seeing something load correctly, and it's going to be because you're using Safari. I'm not sure why. It's really been in the last 3 years maybe that we've seen this become a bigger issue. If you do use a Mac product, just download Chrome onto your Mac product and just use that browser when you're using Canvas. It will work just fine. And again, you may think it works 100%, you're great, but at some point it's going to be an issue. And whenever that happens, where there's some type of browser issue, I usually look and can see what browser the student is using, and it's almost always Safari when there's an issue like that. The other thing is even Chrome and Firefox and Edge could once in a while have an issue where maybe it's loading an older version of a web page. And if that happens, clear your browser history. We recommend doing this frequently. I usually forget to do it until I am having some type of an issue. But a quick check to see if a problem that you're having is a browser issue, just switch to a different browser that you don't usually use temporarily. So I always use Chrome. So if I'm seeing something weird, I'll try it in Edge real quick and see if that fixes the issue. If it does, then I'll know it's a browser issue and I probably need to clear my browser history. And then finally, there is an app for both iPhones and Android devices. And so whatever app store you use, you can just search for the Canvas Student app and it will be accessible on your phone for you. We don't recommend trying to take an entire online class on the app because there are certain functions that are not as robust or don't exist on the app that you would need to go to the web version for. But it is a nice way that you can keep up with your communications from your instructor, your grades. If you want to read content for your course when you're not at your computer, any of those things, you can do that from the app. If you are ever, again, not seeing something that you think should be there, you may need to update the app, or you might sometimes have to uninstall it and reinstall it to get whatever you're missing loaded back on to your app. All right, so next I want to talk quickly about the first day textbook program. So I'm not sure what percentage now, we might be up to half of our courses here at CCC are part of what is called Barnes & Noble's first day textbook program. And what that means is that you have already paid for your course materials, your textbooks, and any other materials that come with that as part of your tuition cost. And again, this isn't a choice really that you have. This is something that if the course is participating in that textbook program, you would automatically be charged that as part of your tuition cost. And the benefits of this are that it is generally a little cheaper and also that you have your course materials on the first day of class through Canvas. So you're not waiting for a textbook to be delivered to you or having to go to the store to get your textbook. So it is nice, but it can sometimes be a little bit confusing because it can look very different depending on who the publisher is for your class's course materials, how the instructor is using those, what type of course materials it is. So if you're not sure if your class is part of the first day textbook program, chances are it's not because when you register, if you come to campus and register in person, the person that registers you will tell you that that course that you just signed up for or courses are part of that program. If you register online, then you should get a pop-up that tells you that, again, you're paying for your tuition. As part of your tuition, you're paying for your textbook. But chances are, even if you are not currently enrolled in any first day courses, you will at some point, because more and more of our courses are doing this every semester. So a good way to tell if your course is first day is look over on the left-hand side and look for this first day course materials tab. Now, I have had this one in this course all the way up at the top, but sometimes the instructor may have it all the way down at the bottom of the left-hand navigation menu. They could really put it anywhere. So don't think that it has to be right at the top. You might need to look for it. And when you click on it, if it is a first day course, you will see the name of your course. You will see who the publisher is. In this case, it is a McGraw-Hill Connect course. And you'll see the name of the text. And you'll also see a green opt-out button up until a certain date. So in this case, this class students could opt out of the first day textbook until February 11th, 2025. If you click want to opt out, your money will be refunded, but I caution you very strongly about doing this because a lot of courses, and this is one example, it's not just an ebook that you are using. It's also what we call courseware, which means that it is a platform which contains all of the course materials. So not just an ebook, but also course activities. There might be videos. There are probably built-in assignments and tests that will be part of your grade. So if you opt out, then you're not going to have access to any of that stuff either. So only do this if your instructor has said, hey, you can get this some other way, but I caution you very strongly not to do that otherwise. So I just want to show you, because it can be a little bit difficult, your teachers should have the directions for how you're going to access your course materials in your Canvas course shell. But I just want to show you the most common 2 or 3. We have quite a few publishers now across the campus that are used, maybe 8 or 9, so I'm not going to go over all of those. But probably the most used is McGraw-Hill. And so if you are in a course that is using McGraw-Hill, you can click on the McGraw-Hill link that you will see in the left-hand navigation menu. And you're going to get a pop-up that's going to look like this. It says complete registration. It'll let you know when your access to the product is going to expire. When you click complete registration, you're going to make sure that you use your CCC student email address for any of the registrations that you do for any of your textbook materials, because that is how you are entered into the textbook publisher site as having paid for it already. So that's how they recognize that it's you. So just make sure if you are prompted to do a registration or create an account that you use that email address. The easiest one is course materials that are just read now. So if it's just an ebook, you'll be able to just click on the first day course materials link and then just click read now, and that will open up your ebook in another tab. Now, Pearson is another commonly used publisher here at CCC. So I do want to show you this one very quickly. So when you, again, click on your first day course materials tab, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. It's going to have the name of the text. And with Pearson, you're also going to see a button that says reveal access code. And when you click on that, an access code is going to come up, and you can click copy to just copy that access code. And then you're going to want to click on the Access Pearson link. And you'll see a screen that says Open Pearson. You're going to need to create an account if you are new to Pearson at CCC. If you've taken a class before that has at CCC that uses Pearson, then you can log in with your username and password. But for most people, you probably will need to create an account. Again, make sure you use your CCC email address to create that account so that they know who you are. And then you will see an option where it says use an access code, and you'll click access code, and that's where you just paste in that access code that you got from the first day course materials tab. And that is going to load your course materials. And then after you've done that once, you're not going to keep having to log back in. It's going to go ahead and link your Canvas account and your Pearson account. So all you'll have to do after that is click Access Pearson or click one of the links in the course, and that will pull up your course materials. There are a couple of other ones like Cengage and Wiley where you can click on the Wiley course resources or Cengage in the left-hand corner, but the actual links for the readings and for the assignments are going to be in the course. So I know that's a lot of information and you might be a little confused, but your instructor should have directions for you in their orientation module, or they might have a how to access course materials module. They should have that for you. If you are not sure how to access your course materials, if you are having trouble, you're clicking on it and it's not working, or you're pretty sure that you did pay for them already and your instructor is saying that you're not part, that course is not part of first day, you can always contact the bookstore. So their contact information is here. I actually got this directly from the CCC website. So if you don't write it down now, but you need it later, you can always look up on the Camden County College webpage, just do a search for bookstore and you'll get the same information. Joyce is the manager. She's usually is there. So if you stop in person, or you can always call, and then Chase is the assistant manager. They may end up having to contact your instructor or looping us in e-learning, but this is a good place to start if you do have any issues. Leave that up for just a second. So if anyone needs to jot that down, you can. And you also can see that you can go to the website to get this information, camdencc.bncollege.com. All right, one more thing before we will get to Canvas, I promise. And I do want to just mention the Respondus lockdown browser and monitor. So maybe half the courses, maybe less here at CCC use Respondus lockdown browser and monitor. And basically, this is an academic integrity software that helps to prevent cheating on tests. And so what it does is it provides a browser for you that you will use to navigate to Canvas, and it prevents you from being able to open up any other windows on your computer while you are taking the exam. And it also will record you using your webcam and your microphone while you take the exam. Now, this is an actual piece of software that you will need to download onto your computer, and your instructor, if they are using or requiring Respondus lockdown browser for your tests in a class, they will provide you with that link. So you'll get the link, you'll download that software onto your computer, and then when it's time to take your exam, instead of opening Google Chrome or Edge or whatever you are usually using as your browser, you will instead use the lockdown browser to access Canvas and get to your exam. If your instructor is using lockdown browser and monitor, that you should be made aware of that in your syllabus. Because again, like I said, not all courses do use it, but your instructor will have more information for you when it comes time to use that. If you have problems with lockdown browser and monitor, you can always, again, contact us in e-learning, and we can, if necessary, open a support ticket for you. Usually we can walk people through it so that they can get it working. So we are going to go ahead and take a look at Canvas here. So when you first click on the Canvas icon in the My CCC portal, you will be taken to your Canvas dashboard that is going to look something like this. Now, this is a fake student account, and we're going to be working in a fake class. So I'm not using anybody's actual course or anybody's student account here, but this is a demo student account that is going to have all the features and look very similar to what you will see. So we're going to start over here on the left-hand side, and we call this our global navigation menu. And this blue bar will be here no matter where you are in Canvas. And we're going to start in the account menu. So you will notice at the top, you will see your name and your initials. Note that if you are using Canvas on a public computer, that the log out button is here. We do recommend that you log out of both your Canvas account and your MyCCC portal account if you are using a public computer before you leave. So let's take a look at our account menu here. So the first thing that I do want to click on is the profile. So you can upload a picture here of yourself, and you will see, I'm not sure why this kind of is loading weird, but you'll probably see a generic head icon here, and you'll see a little pencil when you hover over it. And this is where you can upload a picture of yourself or your dog or whatever it is that you want to represent you. Just keep in mind that your instructors and your classmates will be able to see your profile picture. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see an edit profile link. This isn't necessary, it's an option. If you wanted to give your classmates and instructors a little more information about you, you can do that here as well. So it's not mandatory, but especially if you're taking a completely online class, it is nice for your instructors and classmates to be able to put a face with a name if you upload a picture of yourself. So the next thing I want to click on here is our notifications. So notifications are very important. They are Canvas's way of keeping you up to date on all the activity that is occurring in all of your courses. So if you're taking multiple classes, especially if you are taking online classes, you're going to have all kinds of things that are happening. Assignments opening, students participating in discussions, assignments that have been graded that are sent back to you, all of those types of things that are going on. So notifications will be sent to your CCC student email account, and you also could get them sent to another personal email account if you want to, and I will show you how to do that. That's on a different screen. So what do I mean by activities? So let's say, for example, a due date is changed by an instructor. And you'll notice that if you hover over any of these items, it'll give you a little bit of information here about what that item does. So for due dates, if there is a due date change in your course, your instructor gives another couple of days to work on something. Over here on the right-hand side, you will see how often it is set to give you a notification about that. And so for due date, you'll see these are set. So some of them are turned off. Some of them are set to notify immediately. Due date might be one that I might want to know a little more quickly than a weekly summary if I have a little more time to work on something. So you might want to come in here and click on this calendar notification icon, and you can change it to notify immediately, daily summary, weekly summary, or for anything that you want to turn off, you can do that as well. I really like daily summaries because it will just send you one email toward the end of the day around 6 p.m. that will summarize any activities that you had set to get a daily activity about. If none of those occurred that day, then you won't get an email that day. So it's timely. It's going to not wait a week to send you a message about it, but you're not also not going to be inundated with constant notifications. So you can come here at any time if you feel like you're getting too much or you feel like you're not getting enough. You can always come here and change the frequency at any time. The ones that I would recommend leaving turned on to notify immediately, and they are turned on for immediate notification by default, are these under conversations. So added to conversation or conversation message is going to send you an email sent to your CCC email address if your instructor messages you through the Canvas inbox. This is the inbox. We'll be looking at that more closely in just a minute. But this will actually send you a copy of the message that was sent by your instructor to your student email account, so you don't have to come into Canvas and click on the inbox to read it. I do think at least a daily summary if not notify immediately, is good for these, because if your instructor messages you through the Canvas inbox, you're probably going to want to know sooner rather than later in case it's something important, class is canceled, or a reminder about something. Those I would probably leave on. The other one that I would leave on for immediate notification is an announcement, and that those are already set for an immediate notification. But again, announcements are usually a little more time sensitive, and so I would want to know about that sooner rather than later. You'll notice also here that you can set for your whole account, so have the same settings for all your classes, or you can click on an individual class and set customized notification settings for each individual class. Now, I did mention by default, you're going to see under email your student CCC email address, and you can't take that out, but you can add an additional contact method where you would like those notifications to go, and you will have a separate set of notification settings for each contact method. So if you wanted to turn them all off for your student email account and have them all go to your Gmail or something, you could do that. But a word of caution, still make sure that you check your CCC student email account regularly. That's where all of your communications are going to go about financial aid and registration and all of that stuff that you want to make sure that you don't miss. But if you did want to, you can click on settings. We're still in our account menu here. And over on the right-hand side, under ways to contact, you will again see your student email address there, but you can click add email address. And that is going to allow you to add an additional contact method. You would put that in there, click register email. It's going to send you a confirmation to make sure that it was the correct email address. And then you can go back into your notifications and set notifications for that email account as well. I do want to point out that there is a tutoring services link. This should also be available for you in all of your courses. But if you do need tutoring, we offer free tutoring here at CCC for all students. And if you click tutoring services, you can see what appointments are available and make an appointment for tutoring. All right, let's go ahead and click back on our dashboard here. So at the top will be any announcements that have been sent out by us in the e-learning division. Those announcements that are on your dashboard are going out to all students. So those are going to be global announcements sent to the entire student community at CCC. Over on the right-hand side, you are going to see a to-do list. And this is going to be a combination of items that are coming up for all of your classes at CCC. So anything that your instructor assigns a due date to is going to show up here, and you can click right on the item to take you to that course and to that assignment. Now, this is really helpful, but don't rely solely on what's on your to-do list. Sometimes students just look here, they don't see anything, and then that's it. They figure they're done. Also, make sure that you look at your course to-do list and your course calendar, which we'll look at in a minute. Sometimes I think what happens is students may accidentally X out of these and not realize it, and then it gets removed, and then they don't have anything else they need to do. So don't let this be the only place that you look. So then you also will see your course tiles here. And this is the way that you can access your course. Another way that you can access a course is to click on the courses button here over on the left. And you'll see a slide out menu that has your courses listed that are current. And you can also click on all courses, which will take you to a list of all of the courses that you've ever been enrolled in or are future enrolled in at CCC. You're going to notice that there are stars next to each of the courses. If a star is orange, it means that it is on your dashboard. If it is white, it means that it is not. So if I come back to my dashboard now, I will see that that introduction to psychology class is gone. When a course goes live, when it gets published by your instructor, it should pop up on your dashboard automatically. Every once in a while, for some reason, a student will have a course that is active, but it doesn't show up on their dashboard and they're not sure how to get to it. So you can always click on courses, all courses, and if you need to add something or remove it. Sometimes courses will stay up for an extra month or two after the end of a semester, and you might be tired of looking at it and you want to get it off your dashboard. You can always click on that star to take it off of there or add it back on. This is also a good place to look if you have a course that you are enrolled in that is not published yet. So instructors a lot of times will publish courses before they start, maybe a week or two before the start of class, but then a lot of instructors also wait until the first day of class before they publish a course. So if you're just wanting to make sure that you are actually enrolled in Canvas in a course that you're not seeing on your dashboard yet, when you click courses and all courses in this list, you will see at the top your current courses listed, and then underneath you will see past enrollments. Those are courses that have concluded, and you'll also see future enrollments. Those are courses that have not started yet. So you can always come there and just make sure that you are in it, and then it will become available to you when the instructor publishes the class and makes it live. Let's go ahead and click on our calendar here. So the calendar in Canvas is actually a combination of calendars from all of your courses. And you will see over on the right-hand side, you will see a list of your courses. You will also see your name at the top. And you will notice, let me click to February here, that the items on the calendar and the courses are color coded. So I can tell that anything that is this dark pink is this introduction to geology class. If you ever need to change the color of an item on the calendar, sometimes Canvas picks colors that are really close to each other. You can select a different color and click apply, and it will change the color for you. Anything that your instructor assigns a due date to is going to automatically show up on the calendar. So any assignments, discussions, or quizzes that have due dates are going to show up here. You also, as I mentioned, have your own calendar. So if you wanted to add something for yourself, a reminder, you can click on a date. You can put my to do, and it will allow you to choose the class, or if you just want to keep it under your name, then it will add that item and it will just apply to you. So this is a great place to come to see everything that's coming up in your classes that's been assigned to you if you're kind of wanting to plan out everything and know when you've got a lot of work that's going to be due. You can always look here. And you also can click on an item on the calendar to get more information and also to take you directly to that course and to that assignment. So next I want to click on the Canvas inbox. So the inbox in Canvas is what we call an internal messaging system. And what I mean by internal messaging is that you can only contact other people that are in a course with you. So that's going to be just your instructors and your classmates that are in a current class. So it's sometimes mistakenly referred to as Canvas email, which no judging because I've said that myself by accident many times. But that's actually kind of a misnomer because you can't email someone outside of a class through the Canvas inbox. But sometimes instructors will tell you that their preferred communication method, they prefer you to contact them through Canvas email. And then I've had sometimes some confused students that have called and said, I cannot find Canvas email anywhere. What they're talking about is the Canvas inbox. So just know that that's what they mean if they say that's how they prefer to be contacted. If you have any messages, you will see those messages in a panel on the left-hand side. And if you want to, you can filter out courses so that if you wanted to select just my messages from Introduction to Psychology, I could select those and that's all that will show up here. If I wanted to compose a message, I can click on this pencil and paper icon at the top. I need to select the course, and then you can either just type the name of the person or a few letters of the name, or you can click on their role and select their name, and it will put the name right there. The rest of it does pretty much work just like an email system. So you would put a subject here, the body of the message goes here, and if you needed to add an attachment, you can do that as well. As I mentioned before, if you have your notifications turned on, when you receive an inbox message, a copy of that will be sent to your CCC student email account as well. And you can actually reply directly from your CCC student email account, and a copy of that will get sent to the person you're replying to's Canvas inbox. All right, last and certainly not least, before we take a look at a course, is our help option. So the college has paid for the highest level of tech support that Canvas offers. So that means that we have 24/7, 365 Canvas support. So if you have a problem with Canvas, doesn't seem to be working correctly, or you're not seeing something, or you need directions on how to submit an assignment or something like that, you can always click on the help option. Now, if it's something that you're pretty sure is just a common general question, it's not a problem really, it's just you need directions on how to do something, you could always start here searching the Canvas guide. So you can click on this link and then you can just type your question into the search box, and any guides or tutorials that have to do with that question will come up, and you might be able to easily find your answer that way. But if it's something that you feel like you definitely need to talk to somebody, you've got a couple of options. So you can do a chat with Canvas support, and then as a live chat with a live tech support person, you can ask them your question. This is nice if it's something that you think you need directions for, they can always send you directions. And a copy of your chat will also be sent to your email account. So that's nice as well, because you have a copy of it. If you'd rather just speak with someone, you can always contact the Canvas support hotline. Again, you'll be speaking with a live person that can help you. And you also could report a problem. This is like opening a support ticket where you explain what's happening, and then you will get a response. It's not as fast as these other two, but it's still pretty quick. It might be an hour or two where you would hear back from them. So keep that in mind if you do run into any problems or questions about Canvas. So let's go ahead and click on a course here. So we're going to look at this Intro to Geo course. When I click on a course, I'm going to be taken to the course homepage. Now, a homepage is going to look different depending on how your instructor has set it up. This course is set up so that the homepage is the modules. It takes me directly to the modules. We'll talk about what modules are in just a minute. But no matter what the homepage setup is, you will see a couple of things. So you will see down the right-hand side is where your to-do list is for this course. So this would just be items that are coming up in this class. You will also see a recent feedback section. So if your instructor has graded anything and sent it back either with a grade or with comments, with any type of feedback, you will see that listed here. And if your instructor has sent out any announcements and has announcements set to show up on the homepage, which most of the time is the case, you would see the most recent announcements up at the top. Now, down the left-hand side is what we call the left-hand navigation menu. And this is going to look very different depending on what your instructor is using for the class, who the publisher is, what types of items they need to show, and also what they have chosen to hide. So there are a lot of links that are visible by default in classes in Canvas, and some instructors hide the ones that aren't used, while others will keep them visible. So if you're not seeing things in the same order, or you're seeing a lot more or a lot less, don't panic. That's just how it works, depending on what your instructor has set up for the course. So as I mentioned, this course is set up to take you directly to the course modules. So if I click on modules here, it looks similar. It doesn't have the announcements at the top and the to-do list down the side, but the meat of it here is still going to be my modules. Modules are your instructor's way of organizing their course content. So most of the time, you will see some type of orientation or start here, some type of module at the beginning that's going to contain your first day information. If it's a first day class, it's going to contain the syllabus, any other housekeeping beginning of class type of items, schedules, that type of thing, is going to be in that orientation module. So always make sure that you go over everything that is in that orientation module and read it carefully. Depending on the format of the class, in most online classes, there is going to be a module per week. And so for every week within that module, you're going to have the content that you need to read, or if it's a separate book, it might just be a page that says read chapter 1. You might see a video, you might see links to external items that you have to read or view. So I always recommend tackling the items in the module in the order that your instructor has them. So let's take a look at the most common types of items that you will see in a module. So the first one, the syllabus, this, if you see a paper clip next to it, it means that is a file. So this is going to be something that your instructor has uploaded from outside of Canvas. So usually it's going to be a Word document, a PowerPoint, a PDF, something like that. And I do want to just quickly mention this a little bit off topic, but all students at CCC are also getting an Office 365 account that has Word and PowerPoint and Excel at the least. They may have a couple of other things in there too, but you will have access to that. So if you have to write a paper or something, you can use that Word account to type that paper in, and it's online version of Word that you can save in your OneDrive in the cloud. If you are not sure about that, you don't know what I'm talking about, or you don't know how to access it, you can contact the help desk and they can give you your credentials and walk you through the process of accessing it. So just a little side note there. So anyway, a paperclip means a file. So if you click on the file, it will take you to a preview screen, not for all types of files. It can't show you every type of file there is, but usually PDFs and PowerPoints, things like that, will show up in the preview. If you want to download a copy to have on your computer, you can click the link in the upper left-hand corner and download it. The next type of item that you will frequently see is a page. So it looks like a piece of paper. Pages are going to be created within Canvas by your instructor, and it could just be text, but a lot of times this is where instructors will put other media. So you might see images here, you might have a link to video, you might have an embedded video that your instructor has recorded right within Canvas of themselves. So pages are going to be another type of informational item that you're going to want to read or view. Again, as I said, you might also see a link. This would be a link to an external web page that you can click on. Let's quickly look at the first type of interactive item that you might see. Most online classes, not all, but most of them, you will have some type of a discussion topic that's going to be an introduction. And so this is an example of that. And when you click on the discussion, you are going to see the discussion post. If there is a due date and if it has points associated with it, you will see that. And you will be able to read the post that your instructor has made, or the prompt of what you are supposed to write about. And then when you are ready to respond, you will just click the reply button at the bottom. So if I click reply, I have a text box that comes up, and you can type your response in here. You can also type your response into a Word document and copy and paste it into this text box. If it's more than a couple of sentences, I recommend that, because this is not going to save as you go. And speaking from stat experience here, it's a pain to have typed a whole response and then your battery dies on your laptop or something and you lose everything. So I always recommend type it somewhere you can save it, like a Word document, copy it, and paste it. So when you are ready to respond, you'll click reply. Now, depending on the settings that your instructor has for the discussion, you might not see anybody else's responses until you reply yourself. You also have some other features here. So you can click reply to another student's post. You get another text box here that you can use to reply. You can also do @ mentions. So if you click at, you'll get a list of the other classmates and instructors in the class, and you can choose, and this person will get a notification if you mention them. I always recommend making sure that you get your discussions turned in by the due date. And a lot of times instructors will have two due dates for discussions. They will have the date when your first post is due, and then they will have a second due date by when you have to have your responses to your classmates in by. And I also do teach an online class, and I find that a lot of times that first due date is missed. And though I don't want to, I can't give full points for that. So it's not usually a difficult way to get points. I'm very lenient on my discussion posts. I'm asking for people's thoughts and opinions about things most of the time. It varies by class, of course, but it's usually a pretty easy way to get full points. And you never know when that can bump you up from your C to your B or your B to your A in a class. So just a little word to the wise. All right, so next let's take a look at an assignment. So I'm going to click on this assignment. Assignments have a little pencil and paper icon next to them. So you will see when you click on an assignment, when the assignment is due. You will also see over on the right-hand side how many points are possible for that assignment. You will see where you are in the process. So this says in progress, meaning I just clicked on it, but I will need to submit my assignment when I'm ready. So you will want to make sure for assignments that you do pay attention to the due date. So you'll notice here that it is due February 17th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m., but it's available until the 21st. What that means is I can turn it in after the due date up until this date, but it's going to be marked late after this date and time here. And instructors will be able to see that it is late. And depending on the settings, some instructors have it set up to immediately deduct points for every day or even hour that an assignment is late. So just because you can turn it in late doesn't mean that you should. You should get it turned in if you can, obviously, but it's best to get full points by turning it in on time. You don't want to automatically get points deducted right off the top just for getting it late. So do your best to get your assignments turned in on time. Make sure that you do read all of your information. So when I am ready to submit my assignment, this, depending on what the instructor has set up for an assignment, you will see different things here. So for this assignment, I can either have a text box. I click text, I get the text box. Same advice, copy and paste from a Word document. Or I can upload a file by clicking upload. And so if I am going to upload a Word document or whatever type of file my instructor wants, and if they have specific file types, those will be listed. I can click upload and I will click on the little rocket there, find the file on my computer. And now I have it uploaded here. And then I can click submit assignment. I have to first check the box that the assignment is my own original work. And also it's not turned on for this assignment, I don't think, but instructors do also have a tool that we use here that is called Copy Leaks that will scan an assignment and check for plagiarism or the use of AI. And it is very accurate. So just make sure that it is your own original work. And then when I click submit assignment, if it's on time, I get a little confetti shower. If you had more than one attempt, you could submit again. If I click new attempt, that means that I do have more than one attempt. If you don't see a new attempt button, that means that you only have one attempt for that assignment. Instructors can decide to set however many attempts they want to allow, but keep in mind that if your instructor is only expecting one submission, don't just go ahead and keep submitting multiple attempts without clearing it with them, because they can always just look at your first submission and not even look at the subsequent ones and just grade that. All right, so assignments and discussions we've discussed here. And then the last type of interactive item that we want to look at here is a quiz. Now, Canvas calls all test-like assessments quizzes. So it could be a 5-point quiz, a practice quiz. It could be the final exam, and Canvas is going to call it a quiz. So again, we see our due date, our available date. You want to make sure you get it in by the due date. You also want to pay attention to your time limit if there is one. So if I have something due at 11:59 p.m., if it's not available after that, and I don't start it until 11:58, it's going to submit when that due date comes around. Even if I still technically had time left, it's going to cut me off, and anything that I did not finish is going to be marked wrong. So not to scare you, but just make sure you pay attention to that and you don't wait until the last minute. So when you are ready to start the quiz, you will click Take the Quiz, and then you will be able to submit the quiz when you are finished. I do just want to very quickly show you what a quiz looks like. So these are true and false, multiple choice. This is a matching question, so these aren't used all that much. Most of the time, what I see is multiple choice and essay questions. But in this case, we're picking a term from the drop-down menu to match the column on the left. Multiple select will allow you to select more than one answer. And then this is, of course, an essay question. So when I'm finished, I would click Submit. If there are any questions that I have not answered yet, it will send me a warning and see if I still want to submit. So I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. If it is a quiz that can be auto-graded that my instructor has set, so that anything that's multiple choice or true and false, those can be graded automatically. I might see my score on those right away, or my instructor might wait until they've gone through and graded any essay questions and release all the grades at one time. So that just depends on your instructor's settings. All right, so I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, feel free to reach out if you need anything, elearning@camdencc.edu. And I hope you have a great day and a wonderful semester.